Hello, and welcome to Talk to Downtown. My name is Courtney Wood. I'm the Economic Development Director for the Downtown Stockton Alliance, which is a 501c6 nonprofit property-based business improvement district serving downtown Stockton. This webinar series is intended to connect our business owners, residents, visitors, and property owners with the organizations, people, and resources who can help them address issues which are of top concern to them. Today, we have special guest Amanda Luna. She is the library manager for the Stockton San Joaquin Public Library. So today we're going to learn all about the resources that our local libraries have available for us to use. We'll begin by having Amanda share a little bit about herself and her role at the public library. And then I will go ahead and ask her a list of questions I've outlined for her. At the end, we'll open it up for the viewers to go ahead and ask your questions. So if you do have any questions, be sure to type them in as a comment on this live video. And with that, I would like to say thank you so much, Amanda, for being here, and tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at the Stockton San Joaquin Public Library.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. So a little bit about me. I've worked for the library for 6 years. I've been a library manager for about a year now. That means that I get to work with branches throughout Stockton, including their micro libraries, and just help them be successful and connect with their communities and do the awesome things that they love to do.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so you've been there for 6 years. You have a little bit of experience. You've seen the pandemic and before the pandemic.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. So could you share with us a little bit more about the overarching goals and responsibilities of the public library system in Stockton?
Sure. So our main goals are cultivating healthy, strong minds and bodies, helping people to be the best that they can be, whatever that means for them. The library is a neutral party. We take that to heart. We are places of information where people can get whatever they need. That might mean helping a kid with their homework. That might mean helping an adult connect to literacy programs. That might mean just offering a safe, warm place when it's cold outside to members of our community that are struggling with being transient or are having a hard time right now. So we run the gamut. We do a little bit of everything and try to serve as many people as we can in a way that is respectful and helpful to them.
Amazing. Okay. So healthy minds, healthy bodies. I love that. Mm-hmm. And could you give us maybe some categories of programs or resources and tools that you do offer?
Yes. Okay. Well, there's a lot. So we offer a lot of in-person programming. We're so happy to be offering that again. Because of COVID, we did have to leave that behind for a little while, but it's coming back. Which means we're able to invite people in again, have them in for story times, for crafts, for play time for the kiddos and for adults, because it's important to play for all ages.
Right.
We of course have our fantastic resources, which include print materials like books and magazines, DVDs, CDs. We've started lending laptops now, complete with hotspots. So if people don't have internet, they can still access the internet from home, just with their library card. And there's no fee for any of these things. A lot of people ask about that. We don't charge fees unless something doesn't come back. If something comes back late or gets lost or damaged, we do have to charge for that, but we try to avoid that as much as possible. We also have a lot of digital resources. A lot of people don't realize that. We have ebooks, e-audiobooks. We have music, like really current streaming music that you can access through things like Hoopla and all of these other fantastic resources. We even have some websites that will read books to kids. And it's really cool. And it will actually light up as the words go along. So it really reinforces for kids, like, okay, these words have meaning. It's not just a video montage or a TV show. It's lighting up as it goes to really reinforce that word to meaning connection kiddos that are just starting to develop that and develop those language skills. So we offer so many things. It's hard to it's hard to quantify. It's almost we have to have a specific person. I hope we get some really good questions with very specific needs and wants so that we can kind of flesh those out a little bit more.
Amazing. Yes, that sounds like a lot of cool things. Yeah, I didn't know that you were, lending out laptops, which that's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
So how many branches are there for the Stockton Public Library?
So in the city, we have 5 full-size libraries and then 3 micro libraries. The micro libraries are based in community centers. That's the recreation department is kind of our sister department. So we partnered on that project together. And then in the county, we have 8 more. So we have quite a few sites. And then we have a bookmobile. We also have a training wheels bus. That's really cool. That will actually go out to kindergartens and pre-K programs, and we'll read a book with the kids. And then every child gets to go home with a book and the teacher gets one for the class. So it really helps supporting that early literacy development in new and exciting ways. We've gone mobile, we've gone digital. There's so many ways to connect with the library now.
Amazing. I love that you have that mobile piece for people who maybe don't have, they're not right next to the librry. So that's really cool.
Right.
Really cool.
And there's a lot of places throughout San Joaquin County where, they're not really big enough cities to have a full-size library. They just don't have the population to support it. So they can go out there, once every 2 weeks or so to help fill that need and meet that need for people.
Amazing. Amazing. So more specifically now, talking about downtown and the Caesar Chavez Library down here. So what can you just tell us a little bit about the days and hours when that library is open?
Yes, so we are open 6 days a week. We are open Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 10 to 8. Wednesdays, we're open a little bit later. It's from 1 to 8. And then on Fridays and Saturdays, it is 10 to 5. So we're open quite a bit. We're back to our hours before COVID. We don't have any time restrictions. For a while there, we were doing like lobby service and curbside service to help support people. But now, fortunately, we're able to reopen our doors and have them come in to do their browsing and to run around. Don't run around the library, but go and see what we have and talk with friends, be a hangout space for teens, for kids, for adults, and offer those things again. So we're really, really excited to see people back in the library.
Amazing. Amazing. All right. So you shared some things that I didn't know about the Stockton Public Library system, but is there anything else, something that you think people would be surprised to know about the Stockton Public Library system?
I think people are usually most surprised by the number of branches we have and that we are in so many places, and also what that means for them. So even if they come to Chavez and that's the only branch they ever want to visit, they love it so much, that's fine. That's wonderful. We love those people that love their community. What it also means is that if they don't have a book at Chavez, you can order it from Manteca, who has this huge library. Or you can order it from Linden, who maybe has a really good collection of a particular genre or author that this person is really interested in. So even though we don't have it at Chavez or whatever branch they're visiting, it gives them so much more access and connection. And it's so easy. Again, it doesn't cost anything. You just walk up to your friendly library professional and say, hey, I would really love to find this author. And we can help request that for you, either from one of our branches or even through our Link Plus system, which connects us to libraries throughout the state of California. So San Francisco, San Diego, all over the place. You can get those items relatively easily. You can even do it yourself at home if the person feels comfortable doing it that way. But if they would like to have a library professional walk them through it the first time to see what that looks like, we are perfectly able to do that. And we like talking to people. I think that also surprises people a lot, that we actually I'm very talkative. I'm the loudest person in the library most of the time. So I think that surprises people a lot. We're not going to shush anybody. We want you all to come in and have a good time here.
Awesome. Okay, great. So you have access to so many resources. As long as you're visiting one of the libraries, you can access pretty much the resources from any of them. Very cool.
From all over, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so since you said you like talking to people, what are some of the most common questions that you get asked in your role, and how do you answer them?
We get a lot of questions. Kids are probably the most frequent users of the library, so we get a lot of questions from kiddos. Lots of things from the kids about, the superhero of the moment, or I'm really obsessed with dinosaurs right now. Can you show me all your books about dinosaurs? We get a lot of questions about that, and then we get a lot of questions from parents too about, they have a school assignment coming up, or I'm concerned about their reading, and things like that. We also, as advocates for children and as people who work with children and love reading and development, we also try to encourage people, even if they're not reading the traditional books, they're not reading The Scarlet Letter or, The Secret Garden or whatever it is. If they're reading, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. It doesn't matter if it's Captain Underpants. It doesn't matter if it's, Diary of a Wimpy Kid and they've read it 6 times already. Reading is reading, and that's wonderful, and let's celebrate that. So we try to encourage all kinds of reading, however we can.
Awesome. Great. So yeah, no limitation on,
no limitations,
the number of words, and just
no, I grew up on Captain Underpants, and I remember a teacher telling me, you're such a good reader, you shouldn't be reading that. And I was like, I'm a good reader because I read that. And it worked out for me. So
exactly. It's worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so now you shared that the most common library user is usually children. Can you tell us any more about user statistics in Stockton? Like, do you see an even mix across all types of demographics? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, a lot of young families. We see a lot of parents, either one or both parents with the young children. We see a lot of grandparents with the grandchildren as well. We also see a lot of older adults, retirees, people that have a lot of time to read and have really fostered that love of reading throughout their life, and now they have the time to really enjoy it. And they're the folks that come in and pick up like a huge stack of books, and then they're back the next week for a new big stack of books. And they're usually the ones that really talk to us and say, I read all of this author. Do you have any recommendations for other ones? And those are really the fun conversations where we can say, if you like this, you should try this, and really get them interested in things that they probably wouldn't have picked up otherwise, or maybe wouldn't have found on their own. So we get to have really substantive conversations with those folks. The kids, it's more, this one has a kitten on it, a little more superficial, but really fun as well. And then we probably, we see a good mix of everybody. Teenagers, it tends to be a little bit harder. They're sometimes a little too cool for us, or they think they are. We're pretty cool. I think we're pretty cool, but I might not be representative of that group. But the kids that do come in, the teens that do come in, I think that they're the ones that find the most community with us. Because I know I was that teenager that came into my library, and school wasn't always a good place. Not all teens connect with other teens in the same way. So the teenagers that do come in, I think, really find a sense of place with us. They find a sense of safety. and community and care. And it's really, as a library person, as a professional, as someone who grew up being that kid, I really love offering that to them. And I think we see them respond to that care and concern in really great, fantastic ways. Because a lot of them, they grow up and they volunteer with us. Some of them start working as shelvers and then part-time and then grow up with us. We have some members of our staff that, started as volunteers, as teenage volunteers with the library. And I think that's a really great testament to what the library can be for people. It can be a safe place, and it can be a place to grow in, and really have a lot of really wonderful experiences. So it's a long answer. Again, I'm very chatty.
Great. That is great. So a lovely safe place for, teens. That's great. There's sometimes not that many activities in our area for teens, and this is a place they can learn and feel safe and foster a real sense of knowledge and place. Amazing. So based upon what you just shared, are there any particular services or resources that are the most popular at our libraries?
That are the most popular? Oh, picture books by far. Our picture book collections are always busting full of brand new things, beautiful new things. So we see a lot of picture books go out. We have a 25 item limit of checkouts. So people can check out 25 items, whatever that means, if it's DVDs or CDs or books or whatever. So, it's not uncommon to see a family walk over with a stack of books, and every kid has a card, and it's like, okay, let's check out 50 books. Let's check out 75 items real quick. So that's not
25
uncommon.
Per.
Yes. If there's 3 kids with cards, yes. So we do that a lot. We also do a lot of printing and faxing. A lot of folks don't realize that we offer that service, but the ones that do, they really love it, and they're really appreciative of it. Because it's hard to find places that print anymore or fax. It's not, they don't really have Jinkos so much anymore, or services like that. So if people need to print something really, really quickly, like a boarding pass or a paper for school or whatever it is, they can print it easily here. They don't even have to use our computers. They can just email it to our printer and get on their way and go. It's a really fast service. It's only 10 cents a page if it's black and white. So it's hard to beat in terms of price and accessibility.
Great. Yeah, that's a great service to know about for people, and affordable as well.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So picture books, so great resource for families. I love that. So you kind of shared a little bit earlier, but in a world that is increasingly digital, how have you seen Stockton's libraries, and specifically the Caesar Chavez Library, kind of evolving to adapt to that new world?
Yes, I think a lot of folks think that libraries are anti-digital. We are not at all. We, during COVID, like so many, I'm sure you guys as well, we had to learn how to use things like Zoom and a lot of these resources that maybe we hadn't implemented before. So we started doing virtual programs that would videos of showing people how to use crafts. In the early days, it was a lot of toilet paper rolls because that's what everybody had a million of, and things like that to really really get them, still using their mind, still playing, still finding space for fun, because so many kids in particular lost that, social or tactile development that is so important during those early years, especially. And then for the grown-ups, I mean, it was hard, not being able to see friends or your coworkers as frequently. So to be able to jump on a screen, even if it is not quite the same, was nice. It was nice to see people's faces, and we got to do that. We got a lot of crash courses in how to do that very quickly. And I think the library did it really well. We have a fantastic team of people who really put a lot of heart and soul into into doing those videos, and they did an amazing job. And then in terms of our other regular resources, we have things like Hoopla that offer ebooks and e-audiobooks. We have things like tutor.com that provide online tutoring, in-person online tutoring to kids and adults, because it does cover things like resume help. You know,
nice.
Yeah, people can just submit a resume and then they get an email back that says, hey, you might want to try to change these words around, or you know, format it this way. You know, you might want to elaborate on this, to get some real substantive feedback on what they have produced, which is so useful. And so especially right now, as people are going back into the workforce, or maybe changing up jobs. So we have so many amazing digital resources now. And those are of course available at Chavez, but because we're a system, they're available throughout the system. So even if someone goes and gets their library card at an outreach event or on the bookmobile, they have access. That card is a gateway to so many fantastic things.
Amazing. So you've shared that some of the programs are coming like back in person. Are you planning to continue any programs or online kind of video work from the library, or are you kind of transitioning everything back to in person?
We are offering a few videos, not as frequent, because we're going to be doing those in-person programs now. But we actually recently started a podcast, like so many people did during the pandemic, right? So we have that available for people, and it offers things like recommendations of things people might like to read, interviews with library staff on things like horror movies. I will not be one of those people. I'm a chicken, but you know, a lot of other people have that really strong interest, and can really connect on that level. So we are offering a few, and then this month and possibly into April as well, we'll be having some hybrids of our programs, so people can, you know, potentially participate both ways if they're still not feeling comfortable coming back into the library space. You know, as we progress on, I think it will become more in person. That will become our default again. But we're trying to be mindful of making sure that they're safe for people that are maybe still feeling apprehensive.
Okay, great. And so your podcast, can you tell us the name of the podcast? Where can people find that?
Just look up Stockton San Joaquin County Public Library. You can find us under that name everywhere. Our acronym is SSJCPL, which is kind of a mouthful. But if you just Google Stockton Libraries, you'll find us.
Okay, great. Yeah, I didn't know you were doing that, so I'm probably going to check it out. Okay, so at the Caesar Chavez Library, are there any special archives or collections that are only at that library that you could maybe tell us about?
Yes, we have a special collection upstairs of kind of Stockton history. That if anyone has any interest in that, please let me know. I can hook you up with a true gem named Gretchen Loudon. She is like a supercomputer. I don't know how she does it, but I think she remembers every fact of Stockton ever. Wow. So she's a special collection all by herself. And then of course, well, not of course, because I'm not sure everybody knows this, we have at a lot of our libraries yearbooks. Cool. Yeah, so communities, people that have grown up here, if you have any interest in seeing your old library or your old yearbooks, you know, you can access them here. They are kind of set aside, so you do have to talk to a reference staff member to help you get access to them. We've had some issues of people trying to cut their pictures out of the yearbook, so that's why they're kind of set aside. But if anyone has an interest in kind of seeing their personal history or maybe family history, we have those to offer as well.
Great. And the history archives, do you have then old photos or newspaper records? You know, like what's included in that?
Yes, we have a mix of things. So that includes those yearbooks. It includes like treaties and like documents that kind of show the history of Stockton. And there are some really fantastic old photos of the library in particular. Some artist renderings of when this building was put up that are really cool to see, because of course in the artist rendering they put in like the old cars and everything, like this is what it'll look like on a typical day, and it's just this 1960s masterpiece that is really cool, and we have that framed and hanging up in one of our meeting rooms. So if anyone has an interest in seeing that kind of bit of history, this is the place to come.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you. I know there are many history buffs, Stockton history buffs that, follow us, so they might be interested in things like that.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is literacy rates. As we know, this has been an issue in our community for years. So what kind of work are you guys doing at the public library to help improve literacy rates? And have you seen any improvement in the past, most recent years?
So we have kind of two categories of it. For our adults, we do have an adult literacy program. People can access that at the bigger branches. So Chavez and Troche are two of them here in the city of Stockton. That is where a person who needs literacy help is partnered with a tutor to help them with their reading comprehension. The supplies are provided. Of course, they can add on to that if they choose to. A lot of the volunteers are former teachers, so that always helps. And it helps them develop their so we kind of connect them together and set up that relationship, and they meet in the library. And then from there, they're able to work together as a team to try and develop those skills. And then for kiddos, we have seen some alarming, concerning rates with literacy, particularly in the last few years with kids not being in traditional schools. A lot of kids really flourished in the at-home setting, but of course we know some didn't. And those kids are really having a hard time, not just with their literacy development, but a lot with their social emotional development as well, because they just haven't been around kids their own age, and they don't know how to be around kids of their own age. From my conversations with teachers and my own experience within the library, I think that's kind of normalizing now. They're learning how to be kids again, and be bigger kids, because that's what we first saw. We saw a lot of kids. I said it was like a young mind in a big body. They didn't realize that they had shot up 2 feet and were different now, that they are being treated differently now because there are different expectations now, because the jump from 7 to 9 is big. That's a lot of growth in that time. But with all that being said, we are always a house for learning, and we get to be that secondary space. Schools, they focus on what the kids have to learn. We get to focus on the things they want to learn. We don't have a curriculum to follow. They get to just be kids and run around and read the books that they maybe shouldn't be reading, or the books that they really want to read because their older sibling is reading it and it looks really cool. We get to be that space for them, to not just foster their traditional literacy, but their love of literacy, because that's what takes a reader from a kid who can read to a kid who likes to read. A kid who enjoys it, who chooses to do it for fun and not just because it's a homework assignment. So we get to really foster that growth in that way. In more traditional kind of sit down, let's have a conversation about literacy, we also have things like book buddies that we're hoping to transition back into with in the summertime. That program is for K through 3rd graders. To really work on their literacy, either in small groups or preferably on one-to-one. If we have enough volunteers, we're able to do that. So that's kind of like that adult literacy model. where they can really sit down and learn. We also have things like homework help that are starting to transition back. Again, because of COVID and because we've been closed to in-person programming, in-person programming, we haven't been able to do that. So it'll be a matter of bringing back our volunteers, kind of building that pool again, because a lot of our teenage volunteers are no longer teenagers and they have, real jobs and have graduated high school and grown up so much. But, we're hoping to see those things kind of transition back in, the year ahead. This is a very important subject to us at the library. It's very near and dear to our hearts. So I expect us to be focusing more and more on that as time goes on, and as we're transitioning back to everyone's favorite phrase, new normal.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So for anyone who's interested in accessing those literacy resources that you were just sharing, how can they access them? Can they sign up for them online? Do they need to go in person to say, hey, I'm interested in whether they're an adult or a child? How can they access those?
Yeah. Those ones specifically are in person, so they would have to go up to their friendly library professional to ask about that. We do have some information on our website in case people want to hear a little bit more about it. And then, of course, we have our events calendar as well. So things like book buddies and homework help, and things that are more a set time, that are not individualized, because that adult literacy program is for the individuals to decide what time works for them. Okay. Those things are on our events calendar. So that's all on ssjcpl.org. Again, I know that's a mouthful. So if you just Google Stockton Libraries, we come up first thing. So you can check out our calendar for a little bit more information about specific locations, specific times, any requirements or age restrictions that might be in place, and all that good stuff.
Amazing. Thank you guys for offering those services, and doing that work.
We love doing it. That's why we're here.
Amazing. So let's keep talking about Caesar Chavez. Are there any unique library programs or events that are running right now at Caesar Chavez?
So with our in-person indoor programming just restarted on March 1st. So we're kind of starting to edge back in. Some of the things that they've been offering, our Harvest Home Animal Sanctuary will come out. That's a really fantastic organization. They go to several of our sites, and they'll bring an animal of some sort that they have rescued as part of their sanctuary. It might be a chicken, it might be a duck, it might be a guinea pig. You never really know what's going to waddle in through the door with our Harvest Home friends. And not only is that really, really cool for the kids that, maybe have never interacted with a real live chicken before, but the purpose of it is to practice their reading skills. So what they do is they'll bring a book, or we'll have books available for them, whichever the child prefers, and they can just read to the animal. And even though it sounds silly, there is some thought behind it. There's method to the madness. For kids that are really struggling with reading, sometimes practicing with someone or something, even a stuffed animal, that won't judge them, won't correct them, won't make them feel like, well, you should really be reading better at your age, or whatever negative talk that child might be experiencing. To practice without that worry, without that stress, can be really liberating for them, and really help them develop those skills in a no stress, fun atmosphere. Because who doesn't want to sit next to a chicken or a duck or whatever,
and read to them?
Read to them. Yeah, so it's a really fun opportunity. It's one of our many tricks to getting kids to love reading. And they've been offering that here for several years. Of course, we did have to take the break for a little while, but It's back now, so we're really excited to have our friends from Harvest Home back for that. We also have some newer staff that have started since, COVID happened, that are really looking forward to offering some fun programs, particularly for teens. We have 2 staff members here that are just wild about teens and really excited to make space for them. I've heard some things around BTS come up, and some of the things that, kids want to, they like, that they enjoy.
Right.
It's not just us saying what we like. The program's not for us, it's for them. So really taking into consideration what they want, and creating space to hear from those kids, and adults too, because we of course have programs for adults as well, and giving them the space to advocate for what they're interested in. So I'm really excited to see what some of our newer staff members cook up. I think that they have really some fun, fresh ideas. And so I would keep an eye on the activities calendar here for Chavez for the next few months. And then of course, when summer starts, that's when we go like gangbusters. So we've got some fun months ahead.
Cool. Very cool. All right. And for anyone who is wanting to access the services at Caesar Chavez, you already mentioned the programs are free, right? Most of the programs are free.
All of the programs are free.
All of them are free. And are they offered in any other languages besides English? Do you have Spanish programs or, any other languages offered?
Not traditionally, but we do offer some of our virtual programs and some of our videos and some of our walkthroughs of some of our electronic resources are available in Spanish.
Okay.
We have quite a few of those. We have a fantastic staff member here named Elsa, and they do a fantastic job of providing those services to people who don't speak English or just prefer to hear it in Spanish. We also have in the past offered some language development clubs. Again, we'll see what comes back in the next few months and see what people are interested in now that, lives have changed and situations have changed. So we offer some services. And then of course, just the day-to-day, hi, come in, I'm looking for things. We do offer some of our libraries offer different collections in different languages. Here at Chavez, we have Spanish, we have Hindi, we have a few different languages represented. So it just depends on the site. But of course, with our borrowing program, you could access things even if the library you go to is really tiny and doesn't really have the language representation that person needs or wants. We can request things from other bigger branches that do have that space and collection to fill that need and help folks access what they're interested in.
Okay. As far as you were saying the day-to-day, like if someone walks into the library, is there someone who can help them in Spanish if they need that?
Every Stockton branch has a staff member, at least one staff member that speaks Spanish. The micro libraries, because they're so tiny, don't always have a Spanish speaker available. But the wonderful thing about being part of a big system, a lot of people know who to call. So even if they can't speak to someone in person, hang on, let me call my friend over in Lathrop who speaks Spanish, and I know will provide fantastic customer service to you. And here's the phone, you can use it. I can request anything that you want or what you need, just to help fill that gap. If they happen to go to one of those smaller sites that don't have that as an option.
Amazing. Well, great. That is great news. My last question, kind of about these little details, are what kind of ID do you need to access library resources and to get a library card?
So to get a library card for a grown-up, they need an ID that is issued by the government. So that can mean a an ID. That can mean a driver's license, passport, anything of that nature. It does have to have a current address. If it doesn't, that's fine. You just bring in a piece of mail that says, this is where I live and I can get mail here. We don't really mail people anything except if their account were to fall into collection. So say they took out 20 DVDs and never brought them back. Well, then yeah, we need to have a conversation about that. Of course, if the ID is issued by not the state of California, that's fine. If it's from Indiana, Illinois, whatever, that's fine. If it's issued by another government, so say they're from Mexico or Canada or wherever else, that's fine too, as long as it has a picture and it's issued by some kind of state or governmental body. And for kiddos, they need an adult with all of that stuff, and the kid needs to be present. So just, proof that they exist, basically, and that they they know what they're getting with their library card, because we love to have those conversations with the whole family about those 25 item limits. You can borrow 25 items at a time. That's a lot of stuff. You get a 3-week borrowing period to start out with. If you need a little bit of extra time with it, that's fine, as long as no one else is waiting for it. We can extend your borrowing time. If no one's waiting for it, they could potentially have that item for a few months. If it's something that they need just a little bit more time with, that's fine. We like to make sure that people know that when they're signing up for a card, because there's so many things that the library offers that just people don't know about yet. So thank you again for creating an opportunity for me to tell everybody about it.
Yes, definitely. How old does a child have to be to get their library card? Is there like a minimum?
0. Any age, just old enough to be out of the womb. That's
cool. So they can start, looking at picture books, reading from very beginning.
Yeah, I've registered people for cards at just like a week old. And we love that. This is why we're here, to help people grow and to help people get access to things that they want. And that doesn't have an age limit.
Amazing. All right, thank you. So my next question is about the future. What kind of priorities are being set for Stockton Public Libraries in the next year? And are there any cool additions or changes that are going to be happening, either citywide or at Caesar Chavez specifically?
Yeah, this period is really about rebuilding. We've been reopened in some form or format pretty much since June of 2020. So we've been open, just with those things around programming and uncertainty that we've all been living with. It's really a time now to look ahead and see what exciting things we can do. We've had quite a few new staff members join us, because of retirements and things like that. So we're really excited to see what those new people cook up, what they come up with. For the library, we've been doing a lot of renovations. We were really, really lucky to be so in such a good financial place. So right now, the Manteca Library is closed because they are renovating the adult area. They're getting all these new shelves and all of this this library was built, I think in the 80s. And it's just, it needs it, that they weren't built to remain stagnant forever. So to be able to offer people this new space that will have more light and more openness and freshness will be so wonderful. We also have a new library coming to Stockton.
Wow.
Hopefully around the end of this year. If all the construction things stay on time, we'll be able to offer that soon. It's actually a combination community center library. So it's a really one-stop shop for all of the fun things that that the Community Services Department offers. So you can go and play basketball and then swing by the library and pick up, a DVD for family movie night or whatever they're looking for. So that's really, really exciting. For the Chavez Library, we have done some small kind of beautification projects, which have included getting an overhaul to some of our restrooms, which was very needed, and a great addition to this building that was built in 1960s. It's good to see. Yes. We've also been doing some weeding projects to kind of update our collection, make sure it's representing the community that we are here for, making sure that our books are in good shape and looking wonderful and clean. We did a lot of that during, our lobby service and things. We did a lot of cleaning of the libraries to make sure that they looked beautiful when people could come back in. So we're really starting to see that. And people have been responding really well to it. And then the Caesar Chavez Library, so there's no real firm date on it yet, but we are hoping to be able to renovate it in a more complete way, not just these little projects, in the next few years. Of course, things like construction costs can kind of play around with the time frame. But we have our eye on that. And I know all of the staff here is very, very excited about that prospect, to make sure that our library is welcoming and inviting and beautiful for the city and for the people of Stockton, because this is our main branch. This is our hub. This is, what people look to as an example of the services that we provide. So the prospect of having a library that reflects all of the beauty and the passion that is in this building from the staff is really, really exciting.
Something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Okay. Thank you for sharing a little bit about the future. And I just have a few questions left before we go to our viewer questions. So in your own words, what makes the public library an essential tool, for the downtown community specifically?
Oh, so many things. I think the library, at its heart, is a community space. And the fact that we're able to offer that for free, the fact that we're able to offer that for as many hours as we are, is just so vital. This can be a meeting place. This can be a place where people come to hang out with their friends, to hang out with their family members and develop those bonds, is just so vital. Even more than the books, even more than the stuff, just being a place that is safe and warm is so important. And of course we love the books and we love the stuff. We love the literacy development. We love that we get to offer fun crafts and activities for kids. We love that we get to do a life-size Pac-Man program. Like that's really cool, that we get to do stuff like that. We love that we get to have pigs or chickens or whatever they bring today in the library. We love that. But just offering a space for people is just so, it's vital to what we do.
That's beautiful. A community space. I love that. Okay, so the last questions I've got are, how can people get in touch with you if they have further questions about anything that you talked about today, or maybe they want to volunteer, to help out at the library?
We love volunteers.
How can they get in touch with you?
Yes, well, you can find us at ssjcpl.org. That is kind of our home on the web where you can find us. If people are more comfortable with Facebook or Instagram or what have you, we do have a social media group that kind of monitors that chat as well. So if people are more comfortable with that versus a traditional email or a phone call, that's an option as well. Of course, we have our phone number too. You can find it online. It's 937-8221. So there's tons of ways to find us. You can also just come into the library and say hello. Like I said, we are a pretty friendly bunch. So just stop by, say hi, and whatever people are looking for, that's the goal. That's why we're here, to help people connect to what they're looking for. And if what they're looking for is us, then wonderful, you found us.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Here's my last question. Is there anything else that you would like people to know or understand about the Stockton San Joaquin Public Library or the work that you guys do?
We exist for them. That's why we're here. I think a lot of people are a little afraid of libraries sometimes, or librarians. People think that we're very strict, or we get a lot of people that come in and they'll be like, I think I have fines, and they're just so apologetic, and it's like, it's fine. We do too. Yeah, our books are late too, and we work here, so it happens. It's not this big terrible thing. Come say hi to a library person. Chances are they're pretty nice. So they'll be able to help with whatever somebody needs. Don't be afraid to ask questions of us. Again, that's why we're here. That's why we have a desk. That's why we sit there waiting for y'all to come in. That's the whole point. So don't be afraid of us.
Don't be scared. The librarians are here to help.
We don't have a library jail.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much, Amanda, for answering all of my questions. Thank you. And
Thank you.
Now, of course, let's go ahead and see if we have any viewer questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So the first one's from Johnny Palacios. He says, hi, Amanda. I need to stop by the library to look for a Stockton Record newspaper from earlier this month. Okay. How would I find it? And what part of the library would I go to?
Well, if it's from this month, they'll be very accessible. You could find that at a few different libraries. If it's Chavez, their magazines and newspapers are upstairs. So you'll just go up the stairs and then make a U-turn and head to the back. And they're all in order by title. So they're pretty easy to find. Again, if you need to talk to a library professional, if you need a little help finding them, if my make a U-turn isn't very clear, that's that there's a big desk right up front. You cannot miss it. It's right at the top of the stairs. So they'll be able to direct you in person if my description is a little unclear. Okay, and I'm curious, because of this question, how far back do your archives go for the record? So for our newspapers, because they don't store very well, for the physical copies that we receive every morning, those are usually only kept for about a month or so. For something that's more archival, we do have digital resources that can connect you to different newspapers. It depends on the newspaper, specifically which one they're looking for, about what access we have. We have things like the New York Times and lots of different sites and different options to choose from that vary by their collection availability. But for the record, for earlier this month, which is really just like a week, it'll be right there for them. Perfect. All right, thank you. Next question is from Ayana Williams. She says, hi, Amanda. I had a library card / account there when I was a kid, about 15 years ago. Do you think it would still be active, or would I need to sign up for a new card? Most likely not. So our library cards all expire after 2 years. If you think it's expired, you're a regular user, it will still expire. Mine recently expired. It's really easy from our side. We just click a button to say, oh yeah, they're still here. They're still using our system. I checked that they're their email address is still right, that their phone number is still correct, their address didn't change, that kind of information. If it's been several years and there's been no activity on the account, it expired 6 years ago or 15 years ago, then it gets purged from our system to help clear it out and make sure that we have only relevant information, nothing that's too old, and if they moved out of state or what have you. In her case, it probably did get purged because 15 years is a good amount of time. So I would just go into your library, bring that photo ID. If it doesn't have your current address, just bring a piece of mail along with you and we can get you set up for a new library card.
All right, thank you. Okay, the next question, and this is from a Downtown Stockton Alliance staff member, most likely Ben. He says, hi, Amanda. What newspapers does the library have access to in their database, and how far back does it go? He says he's looking for an older article from the Lodi Sentinel. What's the process to print out copies of these news articles from the local papers?
So it varies from site to site about what's available in the building. Chavez does have the largest collection, I believe, of local newspapers compared to a smaller site like Angelou or Weston Ranch that their building is a fraction the size of Chavez. So they're going to have more. In terms of the digital resources, those are accessible to everyone with a library card, even at home. So you don't have to be in the library to use them or to access them. We offer so many different newspapers. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but there are some bigger ones, like New York Times was a big deal for us because it's New York Times. They have a lot of stuff. But the local newspapers like the Lodi Sentinel, Manteca Bulletin, the Record, things like that. We do make an effort to have those available. We do not digitize them ourselves. So if that organization, if that group doesn't digitize them, we are not able to. So it'll just depend on which newspaper we're talking about. But if he's looking for something specific for the Lodi Sentinel, again, please come into the library and talk to us because we can definitely help get you connected to whatever we can access. Again, there's people like Gretchen that work upstairs at the Chavez Library branch. I'm downstairs, that's why I'm pointing up. She is so good at making those connections. So if it is able to be found, Gretchen will find it.
Amazing. And if once she helps you find it, can you print it out, print out a copy? Is that allowed? Okay.
Yes. So we do have copy machines if people would like to make a copy of any of our physical newspapers that we have. And then we also have, if it's a digital resource, you can print those out quite easily. It's pretty accessible. You can even, some of our digital databases, you can email them to yourself. So if you don't want the printout and you want the information but not the printout, you can even do it that way.
Amazing. Okay, thank you very much. And now I have one last question. This is from Michael Huber. So he says, hello, Amanda. I'm wondering if there is or are there plans for a collaboration between the library and Cal State Stanislaus, which is located a few blocks away on University Park campus. So do you know of anything like that going on?
Nothing in the works. I know that we've worked with, we've done outreach events on their site before, but I believe that was run by another organization that they just happened to be on their campus. But if Mike happens to work for that organization, please reach out because we're always looking for opportunities to collaborate with local folks. I mean, right now is a perfect example. If people ask or if they have any interest, if they represent any groups, please let us know because we love to keep our stuff focused on Stockton. That is, even though we're all over the county, if you go to different libraries, you can tell they're different because the communities are different, the needs are different, the populations are different. And that's the point. It's supposed to be individualized. It's supposed to be specific. It's supposed to be close to the community and reflect the community. That's what our goal is. So if anyone, Mike or anyone else, has an interest in collaborating with the library, please reach out. We're here for you.
Okay, amazing. Yes, thank you for participating, collaborating with us today, and being a part of Talk to Downtown. It looks like that's the last question. So you made it through. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to just remind everyone that if you're watching this video live, you have found us on Facebook, but we are also on Instagram at Downtown Stockton and Twitter at Downtown STKN. This video is going to be uploaded to our YouTube channel, Downtown Stockton. And with that, I would like to say thank you so much, Amanda, for being our guest. I learned a lot about, some of the services that I hadn't heard of before at the library. You've shared a lot with us today. So thank you for being here, and thank you, viewers, for tuning in. Amanda, do you have any last thoughts or comments that you'd like to share before we close out?
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for being such a wonderful host. And thank you all for tuning in and learning more about the library. I hope to see some of you all at the library soon. I hope that, I know my love of the library tends to be pretty obvious to people. So I hope you all come in and see what I'm talking about, get to experience it yourself. I think people will be pretty impressed with the library, I hope, and see all the fantastic things that we have to offer, whatever that means for them. So, whatever age group, whatever interest level, whatever, if it's physical versus digital, if it's in person versus, just I like to run in and run out, grab my holds and run, whatever their need is, we've got plenty of space in the library for them. We exist for them, and I hope that we get to see you all soon.
Amazing. Thank you. Yes, your love of the library really shines through. So thank you so much again, Amanda, and thank you, viewers. And with that, I would just like to say to everyone, have a great day downtown. See you next time.